We announced a new partnership and initiative within the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, and we'd also like to thank Ms. Taylor French Henry, Ms. Heartland, for her partnership in making this happen. Over the past few days, our community here in Louisville has seen way too much tragedy in response to gun violence. We've seen accidental shootings. And when we look at gun violence, are there things we can do as responsible gun owners to prevent these tragedies from actually happening? So what we're going to do is we're going to start offering free gun locks, and they'll be available to pick up free of charge at all of our vehicle inspection locations, and also down in the lobby where you pick up your CCDW permits. As you can see, we have multiple locations, and they're spread out all over Jefferson County, so there's no excuse that responsible gun owners can't get free gun locks to secure weapons that are in their home. You know, a gun lock is simple, but it creates a barrier to prevent a child from being able to use a firearm or accidentally discharge a firearm. You know, one of the recent teen deaths we've seen, it was an accidental discharge, and that's something that we can stop. You know, responsible gun ownership includes safe storage, and today we're giving families the tools to do just that. So location is not going to be a barrier. The ability to purchase is not going to be a barrier. You know, when law enforcement, you know, we respond to so many tragedies, but today it's about stopping the next one before it actually happens. 2 teenagers are gone. 2 families are forever changed, and we can't undo that pain, but we can take responsibility about what comes next. You know, a gun lock, it doesn't judge, it doesn't debate, and it doesn't delay. It simply creates a barrier between a child and a life-altering mistake. If you own a firearm and have children or teens in your home, this is one small step that can make an enormous difference. So we're asking parents, grandparents, relatives, caregivers to pause for just a moment and ask, is your gun secured right now? And where can I go and get one of these free gun locks to make sure that happens? You know, at this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Heartland. She's helping us in getting all these locks provided free of charge. So I just want to take a moment for you to talk about your organization and how much we truly appreciate everything that you're doing for this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'll have to say, first and foremost, my operation tomorrow is for suicide prevention and mental health awareness. However, violence affects everyone and the community. It's very important that we realize this and we take part in responsibility. Community in the Webster's Dictionary means joint ownership. This is a fight that incorporates us all. So when we look at Operation Tomorrow for suicide prevention, violence is a leading area of suicidal ideations and mental health concerns. And if we don't take part in it, then we're neglecting our neighbors. We're neglecting our future. And in order to save the generation of tomorrow, we need to give the tools and the education to the generation of today. And I will say, the first time I gave out gun logs, I was about 13 years old with our late Sheriff Aubrey. And it was at the state fair. And I remember then, as I remember now, that the Sheriff's Office held the integrity to make sure that the community was safe. So if you can possibly pick up a gun lock, I encourage you to do so. You know, Kentucky ranks the 20th out of the country for suicide rates. It's the 11th leading cause of death here in the state of Kentucky. And that is a travesty. One loss is one too many. And if a gun lock can prevent somebody, create a pause even, and save just one life, then we've already succeeded. So I'm just so happy that we're able to share this information with the community in order to prevent violence and ensure safety.
Thank you. Once again, I can't thank you enough for your partnership and, you know, and stress the importance. Like I said, there's no barriers now. There's no excuse. We have multiple locations. There's no cost provided. And as you can see, using these gun locks, any number of firearms, it doesn't matter what kind of firearm you have in your home, you can render these inoperable for safe storage and safekeeping within your homes. So at this time, if we have any questions.
Could you walk us through just like what, like say I show up to one of these locations and I want to get one. Do I just like walk in and say, hey, can I have one? Or
Sure.
walk us through that process?
Yeah. Yeah, you can come to any of these locations. Say you're here for the free gun locks. We'll be able to give you a gun lock. We also have pamphlets that we've created here within the sheriff's office that are actually, they target younger individuals to where they can see the pictures and the colors and things like that and explain the dangers of a handgun or a firearm or a shotgun. And you can see on the display here, we have a rifle, we have a shotgun, there's a revolver, there's a semi-automatic pistol, and these gun locks work on any type of firearm.
Who's paying for the gun locks? How's this being funded?
So the gun locks are provided by partnerships that I have with the VAs across Kentucky. So the Lexington VA, the Louisville VA, some private veteran donors that would like to remain anonymous, just due to the fact they would like to. And these are now being sent to me privately, and then I give them to the sheriff's office or any organization that does request them.
Is there a limit on how many are going to be given away?
So right now, today I brought about 730. Next week, I will have 500 come in. I have another 800 in storage. The limit, truth be told, only comes at the budgeting because these are budgeted in a budget plan for the VA. Some people buy them in bulk. Some companies give them out in mass production. So it just really depends on where they're coming from. But for what I can see in the foreseeable future, there's not going to be much of a limit.
Taylor, why is this important to you?
So this is very important to me because I lost my softball coach to suicide when I was in high school. I lost my best friend to suicide also in high school. When I went into the military and I ended up losing a multitude of brothers and sisters in uniform to suicide, and that did cause a fire in me to be lit. I also faced years of bullying, and I had faced suicidal ideations before too. But I always say suicidal ideations, violence, it is in fact what I call a virus in our system. Our system is our brain. And truth be told, the hate people feed you, the violence that is injected, it is a poison. And it can make you feel like you aren't enough, like you don't want to be here, and no one deserves to do that walk alone. So Operation Tomorrow is the fundamental belief that everybody has the right to make it to tomorrow. And including my story, my friend's story, and even stories I hear from parents. No mother, no father, no sister, no brother ever expects suicide to happen, ever expects a violent end for their loved ones.
And I think that goes equally for us in law enforcement. For all the scenes that we make, whether it be a suicide, whether it be a shooting, whether it be an accidental discharge, we see the pain that is on the faces of these families. And they have loved ones that can't be brought back. So if there's even the smallest thing that we can do by providing the locations for these gun locks to be distributed, by providing the pamphlets and the literature to educate. Education is so key, especially when we're talking about younger children, because by nature they're curious, and we don't want to make those runs. We don't want to have to sit there and watch a family that's destroyed by an accidental shooting, a suicide, or something like that. Responsible gun ownership, it's just that. I mean, it's common sense, really.
Why do you think people do not use gun locks, leave guns out when kids get? Why do you think that happens?
Sometimes I think that, we don't think about things. And sometimes in society, we are reactive as opposed to proactive. And you don't think about those things. Or let's say you go and you buy your gun aftermarket. A lot of these guns, if you buy them brand new, they come with a gun lock with them. Or now you buy an aftermarket gun and it doesn't have the gun lock with it. And do you think, man, I just spent $400 on this gun. Do I really want to spend $20 on a gun lock or something like that? So that's why we're taking the cost out of it. And we're taking the ability to pick them up, all over Jefferson County out of it. So, really there's not a whole lot of excuses left. And like I said, we don't want to make these scenes where we see suicides, accidental gun discharges, and families being ruined.
When will these gun locks be available at these locations?
From my understanding, they're available this afternoon. And as we run out, we're going to reach back out and keep those supplies restocked. because to us, it really doesn't matter. Like I said, we're getting these for free, but what is the cost for a young death when it could be prevented? So anything we can do with the sheriff's office and in our partnership with Taylor, we're going to do what we can to make sure these are readily available.
The 2 kids who tragically died, were there gun locks or gun safety taught in the house, or were they just?
I'm unaware of that. And you know, that's an important thing that you bring up when you talk about gun safety. We live in Kentucky, and you know, there's a large part of hunting that is a culture in Kentucky. And I think we need to educate children on the dangers of these handguns, because like I said earlier, they are naturally curious. So anything we can do to bring awareness to that, because if you keep it a secret, they always want to, what's the secret? But if you talk to them about the danger and they understand it, and you meet them where they are at their level, I think that's a huge amount of prevention as well.
In layman's terms, how's a gun lock work?
Basically, you unlock it with the cable. You run it through either the magazine chamber or one of the chambers where it holds the round, and then you clip it back together. So basically, as you can see, this is a shotgun. As you can see, this cable is actually going to prevent this from going forward and engaging. Just like on this semi-automatic pistol, this prevents this slide from going forward. Same way on this revolver. It's through the chamber. You can't close that to get it to fire. So they're very simple. It's not rocket science. It's basically a cable that goes through a hole where you can't prevent this round from being put in the chamber. So.
If somebody sees this and they say, well, I keep my gun at home or wherever for my safety, and it's got a lock on it, that's going to take away some valuable time for me to unlock it to save myself, to protect myself. What's your response to that?
My response is these aren't very hard to disengage. Like I said, it's key. Say if you had this shotgun, and as you can see, there's no rounds in this. You just undo the key. Comes out, put it around, and you're ready to go. What was that, 5 seconds? And then we prevented a child in your home from being able to get this gun. But within 5 seconds, you can protect yourself.
Thank you all very much.
One last question, how much did the donors contribute to this operation?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How much did the donors who made this operation possible, how much did they contribute?
So the donors here, I know that the Louisville VA has supplied me with, the next week is going to be the 500. They already gave me another 100. Lexington gave me the 100 that they had on hand. And it comes with, you also have to ship them in. So once again, those privately coming to me, those are coming out of the budget. And those coming from the government. So that's a little bit different. Now, private donors for veterans, they don't always supply me with the numbers because for them, this is bigger than themselves. And for a lot of us that shoot for something bigger than ourselves, it's part of who we are. It's not about really the cost. And I know how much money I've probably put into making sure this project reaches children, reaches anybody in the community, because people deserve to know. They deserve to hear the message of hope and education and enlightenment on the subject of, making sure your gun locks and your guns are kept safe. Because we also have had school shootings in America. And it's important to prevent any more of those with a gun lock. It's important to prevent children from being too interested. So the cost to us is our hours of service. Now for private donors, once again, sometimes they don't tell me.
Also, the last thing I was going to mention, like some people leave their guns in their cars, and they've been encouraged to not do that because that's how those stolen guns end up on the street. You put a gun lock on them.
Well, I would highly recommend, gun lock or not, I would highly recommend do not leave guns in vehicles. Just don't do it. You're putting those guns onto the streets and contributing to gun violence and senseless deaths within this city.
you all very much.
Thank you all.
February too. Do you mind doing a demonstration for us in front of the panel that you have set up right here?
Also, if anybody would like a pen or anything from this table over here, besides the crown box, I do need that to stay. That you guys can have that. You guys can have some.